Our News is brought to you by Alive.
Believe in best.
Tonight on Our News, Prime Minister Philip Davis tours Princess Margaret Hospital. Will the PLP keep its promise of free COVID-19 testing? A former F&M MP says he's still committed to his community. What led BCB workers to withdraw labor today? Plus, the Sky Juice Kings take Bahamian culture to Oklahoma. Welcome to Our News and thanks for joining us. I'm Christina Dragovich. Topping news tonight, Prime Minister Philip Davis delivering a bleak assessment of the healthcare system. Minutes after completing a tour of Princess Margaret Hospital, Davis telling reporters his administration plans to address the concerns at the public hospital. Bethany McDermott tells us more.
It is accepted by all that the state of the hospital is dismal. And we need to address it.
That's the grim assessment of the nation's healthcare system from the Prime Minister after completing a tour of the morgue, maternity ward, and accident and emergency department. Topping the list of issues his administration plans to tackle are problems faced by healthcare workers, including pay increase. Davis and Health and Wellness Minister Dr. Michael Darville.
There are some serious concerns attending to the doctors and nurses. That has demotivated them, and demotivation impacts and affects productivity. And that is one of the first things we're going to do.
Well, every negotiation as it relates to union negotiations, salaries as well as overtime and back pay, all of these things will be brought to the forefront that needs to be addressed.
Healthcare workers have long decried the state of the healthcare system, with the healthcare professionals predicting a collapse. The country has recorded more than 20,200 cases since March 2020 and 500 deaths. Health and Wellness Minister Dr. Michael Darville says the pandemic has prevented the hospital from performing other tasks. He says he's worried about the limited numbers of COVID-19 beds.
I have been inquiring on whether or not we have sufficient COVID-19 beds. I still am not convinced, and so we need to look for additional space, for additional improvements to the tertiary facility to ensure that we are able to handle our COVID cases in an effective way while not compromising the state of our tertiary healthcare facility.
Meanwhile, the morgue has been stretched beyond capacity for quite some time. PM Davis says it is a priority.
I gather from my tour guide that we have over 320 bodies in there, and that the staffing is no bigger than when it was just ordinary times with 30, 40 bodies. And so we have to address that situation. I don't have enough information yet as to how we'll address it, but it will be addressed.
Reporting for Our News, I'm Bethany McDermott.
Well, the Davis administration will activate its plan to offer free COVID-19 testing throughout the Bahamas, according to newly appointed Minister of Health, Dr. Michael Darville. Jasmine Brown has that.
We have dedicated our time. We have been speaking about free testing in our 10-point plan. We are about to activate.
Free testing was among the Progressive Liberal Party's top campaign promises outlined in the party's blueprint for change. Darville says he could not say much else on those plans until he meets with Ministry of Health officials and other stakeholders in the healthcare industry.
But I do not want to preempt anything because I have to speak with the representatives at the Ministry of Health, the PHA, all of our nurses and doctors. This is a national partnership. This is not a one-man show. We definitely need to get everyone involved. We need to get all hands on deck so that we can get this pandemic under control and begin to get our economy up and going to the point that Bahamians can get back to work.
Darville was sworn in as minister on Monday afternoon after the PLP defeated the F&M at the polls last Thursday. He is the fourth Minister of Health since the Bahamas confirmed its first COVID case in March 2020. He takes up the post at the Ministry of Health as the country battles its worst surge in COVID-19 cases, deaths, and hospitalizations since the start of the pandemic. When asked what his first order of business as minister will be, Darville said,
COVID is real, and the challenges we face in our country are very severe. We're once again speaking to the general population to please wear your mask, and it's important to social distance and to limit the gatherings.
More than 20,000 cases of COVID have been confirmed in the Bahamas. Reporting for Our News, I'm Jasmine Brown.
With the swearing in of 9 new ministers Monday afternoon, also came the establishment of a new ministry. Bethany McDermott tells us more.
Shortly after being sworn in as Minister of Economic Affairs, Michael Halkitis said his first mission is to stabilize the economy. His comments come days after international credit ratings agency Moody's downgraded the Bahamas from Ba2 to Ba3, a move Prime Minister Philip Davis says wasn't surprising.
We have to stabilize the country's finances. We've been hit tremendously by particularly the COVID-19 pandemic. Our revenues are down, businesses have suffered. We have to seek to stabilize that. We have to take a look at our debt position. Our partners in the financial services industry, the banks, etc., are telling us that what we need to do is come with a good, credible debt management strategy.
He says stakeholder participation is key. Word of the new portfolio came during the swearing-in of 9 cabinet ministers of the newly elected Davis-led government. The ministry will cover financial services, trade and industry, and focus on improving the ease of doing business and digitization.
More people are, by choice, becoming self-employed, and so we have to look at ways to support them, and digitization does it throughout the islands. So, you can have people in our far-flung family islands actually in business for themselves. And that includes things like payments and shipping and all of that.
Halkitis is no stranger to financial posts. He served as State Finance Minister and Parliamentary Secretary in the Ministry of Finance and the former Christie administrations. Reporting for Our News, I'm Berthany McDermott.
Well, non-Americans traveling to the United States will have to be fully vaccinated starting in November. That's according to the White House's COVID coordinator. Jared Higgs tells us the decision by the U.S. comes while vaccination numbers in the Bahamas are still low, but on the rise.
The White House announcement says the vaccine mandate will take effect in November.
I think it's only fair when you enter somebody else's country.
The change in policy from the Biden administration will allow travelers from dozens of countries to travel to the United States for the first time since the start of the pandemic. Bahamians have been allowed to travel to the U.S. only requiring a negative COVID-19 antigen or PCR test when entering. Now, when the vaccine mandate comes into effect, you'll still need to have a negative antigen test to enter the U.S.
Do you think it's going to encourage Bahamians to get vaccinated?
Yeah, if you want to go to the U.S., you're going to have to get vaccinated.
While vaccination numbers are still way below the 70% threshold recommended for herd immunity, it has steadily increased over the past month as vaccine stocks were replenished and health data showed that unvaccinated individuals account for the vast majority of hospitalizations and deaths due to COVID-19. According to the Ministry of Health, 73,901 Bahamians are fully vaccinated. That's an increase of nearly 22,000 since August 20th, when 51,150 people were fully vaxxed.
More people are being convinced as it gets closer to home. So as people they know get sick or die from it, then it kind of brings it closer to home. And so people overcome their fears and get vaccinated.
Of course, there are some like Denise Cartwright, a massage therapist, who are still hesitant.
I'm thinking about it, I'm thinking about it. Just building up the nerve. But I know it's something that is inevitable.
Another resident, Clark Criswell, says if a vaccine is required to go to the U.S., he just won't go.
The U.S. it ain't a big deal to me to go there or not. If I need something from there, I could order something or family could send it, or it ain't no big thing for me going over there or not.
Reporting for Our News, I'm Jared Higgs.
Now, all passengers will still be required to show proof of a negative COVID-19 test taken within 3 days of travel to the U.S. And it's the last full day of summer with a mix of rain and sunshine. Greg Thompson has the latest over in the Weather Center.
Thanks, Christine, and welcome everybody for your Tuesday's first look at weather. Cloudy conditions outside. We started off with some showers earlier. Things are quieting down. It's humid, temperatures in the mid-80s, and your winds are out of the east at 5 knots, and your field slight temperature still in the mid to upper 80s with all that relative humidity out there. Satellite view, quiet across most of the Bahamas, exception being the Northern Islands. Some moisture associated with the frontal boundary that's well to the north, spreading across that area. We will see some showers and isolated thunderstorms across the northwest Bahamas tonight through tomorrow. That's your first look at weather. Your extended forecast is still to come.
Still to come on Our News, why a young politician says we haven't seen the last of him. And the Sky Juice Kings steal the spotlight in Oklahoma. But first, Broadcasting Corporation workers walk off the job. That's coming up when Our News returns.
Welcome to our news and thanks for joining us. Topping news tonight.
COVID-19 remains a serious threat.
Coronavirus COVID-19 has disrupted our economy, tourism industry, educational system, and put our healthcare facilities and professionals on high alert. Are you prepared? Do you have all the facts? Stay tuned to this network for the very latest news and information on this global pandemic.
Four years after he became the youngest person ever elected to the House of Assembly, former Bainstown and Grantstown MP Travis Robinson is reflecting on his time in office, saying he will be back. Here's Kyle Joaquin.
The door is closed and the gate is locked at the constituency office of the now former Bain and Grantstown MP Travis Robinson. But he says this in no way is a symbol of his political future, as he says he will be back and he will be better.
Rest assured, Travis Robinson will not fade into the abyss, and I will be back.
Locks on the gates. The former constituency office of Travis Robinson is closed. But as he walks through the area he once represented in Parliament, Robinson says it's not over, as his work is not done. He was elected in 2017 at the age of 22, the youngest of the bunch. And now, at 26 years old, he says his career in frontline politics is far from over.
I realize and understand that I am a young man with a lot of potential and time on my side. And they can rest assured that Travis Robinson will continue to be a household name for the advancement of people who are disenfranchised, for the advancement of rights of Bahamians, not just in Bain and Grantstown, but for all Bahamians.
Robinson has had an interesting last 4 years. Professionally, he's completed a bachelor's degree, all while sitting in the halls of Parliament. On the political front, the journey not so easy after being fired from his post as Parliamentary Secretary in the Ministry of Tourism for voting against the increase in value-added tax. He got that job back 2 years later. He called it a trying time.
Everything that I wanted to accomplish, I have begun the process, and I have toiled the soil to ensure that I leave whenever that time may be with no regrets. I am satisfied that I have come to this tenure with no regrets.
When it comes to Bain and Grantstown, the young former MP says career college and food programs are just a few of the initiatives he's proud of, not to mention completing one phase and beginning another on the Southern Recreation grounds.
I don't believe that the people of Bain and Grantstown has failed me, and I don't believe I have failed them.
So the question just about everyone's asking now, what's next?
I'm going to be working on a few projects that I have in the background. I will not directly divulge what they are now.
In the meantime, Robinson says his office will reopen and he will continue with his community initiatives. For Our News, I'm Kyle Joaquin.
Shifting gears now, newly appointed Minister of National Security Wayne Munro telling reporters Monday that senior ranking officers who were reassigned to special assignments last year will be back at police headquarters this week.
Well, I understand that they were always police officers. They never lost their substantive rank. It was likely a matter of a view of the previous Minister of National Security, because I'm understanding that they will be back at police headquarters, if not tomorrow, the following day.
All of the officers?
As far as I am being advised.
Munro represented several high-ranking police officers who were deployed on a 12-month special assignment outside the Royal Bahamas Police Force in 2020. As their lawyer, Munro told the press in February that while each of them has retained their positions, it is difficult to justify why these officers have not returned to work during the ongoing pandemic. Assistant Commissioner Clayton Fernander was deployed on special assignment at the Ministry of Health. Assistant Commissioner Ken Strawn was transferred to the Ministry of Social Services, and Assistant Commissioner Lemond Delaveau was deployed to the Ministry of Education. When our news comes back from the break, why BCB employees walked off the job, and Marcellus Hall has the latest in sports. Stay with us.
Welcome to our news and thanks for joining us. Topping news tonight.
COVID-19 remains a serious threat.
Coronavirus COVID-19 has disrupted our economy, tourism industry, educational system, and put our healthcare facilities and professionals on high alert. Are you prepared? Do you have all the facts? Stay tuned to this network for the very latest news and information on this global pandemic.
This is our news. Welcome back. Employees of the Broadcasting Corporation of the Bahamas walked off the job today, objecting to an increase in their insurance contribution. Moments after meeting with the general manager, BCPOU President Sherry Benjamin told workers she was assured that the funds would be reimbursed to staff. She also advised them not to return to work until they get a concrete date as to when the money will be reimbursed. Benjamin says workers understand the dilemma facing the corporation, but they need their money.
We are going to be realistic, but we want them to understand they weren't realistic with us. They weren't compassionate with their staff when they decided to take the money out. So our compassion for them is very limited. So we're expecting that sometime between the end of the month, the 15th of October, we will extend them grace. If they're going beyond that, they go to God for grace because we ain't get it no more.
BCB employees on Grand Bahama and New Providence sat outside their offices for more than 2 hours. Benjamin says they're hoping to begin negotiations for a new industrial agreement soon, but until then, they expect the corporation to abide by the one in place.
She may have gotten away with informing the former president, but she will not inform me. She will discuss, we will agree, and then we will move on. Because if she thinks that she's going to inform me, her or the board, this board or any board thinks that they're going to inform the BCPOU and do what they feel like doing, this is going to be a repeated offense. We're going to do this over and over and over again until they get the message.
In sports tonight, Jazz Chisholm goes deep twice as the Marlins make it 2 wins in a row. Marcellus Hall has that tonight in sports.
All right, thanks a lot, and welcome to our sports, everybody. I'm Marcellus Hall. Sometimes when you're on the job, to get it done, you have to put in some overtime. That seems to be the mantra taken up by the Florida Marlins, Miami Marlins, as of late, as they've been going overtime to pick up some much-needed wins. Last night, much the same, going up against the Washington Nationals. So Jazz Chisholm and the Miami Marlins apparently love 10-inning games. Last night, taking on yet another opponent. This one again going to the 10th inning. Washington Nationals on the drawing board, and Jazz homering twice in this game. Also scored from third on a wild pitch in the 10th inning. Miami Marlins beat the Washington Nationals 8-7 on Monday night. Taking a look at Jazz's stats. Jazz coming up bottom of the third, takes a pitch to deep right field and out of here for his 16th home run of the season. Not done yet. Comes back up in the 5th. Jazz again driving one deep, this time to center field. Number 17 on the year. As we said, Jazz and the Marlins getting the win. They are looking good with nothing left to play for. Still trying to play hard down the stretch. They win 8-7 in 10 innings. Monday Night Football action. How about the Green Bay Packers looking to bounce back from a terrible opening day against the New Orleans Saints? This time taking on the Detroit Lions. And how about this? Aaron Rodgers, the MVP from last season, showing some MVP-type abilities as they get the job done. Aaron Jones also catching 3 of Aaron Rodgers' 4 touchdown passes. Packers get the win here, 35-17. They improved to 1-1 and are in first place in the NFC North. How about the Lions? They're still looking for their first win. They're 0-2, 4th in the NFC North as Week 2 comes to a close. Week 3 coming up on Thursday. So there you have it, Jazz Chisholm with a big night, going deep twice. He's on his way, hopefully, to a 2020 season, which would be pretty dynamic if he can pull it off in his rookie year as a starter for the Miami Marlins. We'll see how he does. He's got some more games left to play during the course of the regular season. That's your check on sports. I'm Marcellus Hall. Back to you.
Thanks, Marcellus. Still to come, another weather system is developing in the Atlantic. Plus, the Sky Juice Kings take their talents to Oklahoma. That's coming up when our news returns.
Welcome to our news and thanks for joining. Topping news tonight.
COVID-19 remains a serious threat.
Coronavirus COVID-19 has disrupted our economy, tourism industry, educational system, and put our healthcare facilities and professionals on high alert. Are you prepared? Do you have all the facts? Stay tuned to this network for the very latest news and information on this global pandemic.
Welcome back to our news. A few thunderstorms ahead. Greg is back in the Weather Center with the details.
Thanks again, Christina. Welcome everybody for your second look at weather. We are still monitoring the tropics as we are watching a couple of systems out there. Peter to the north of Puerto Rico, moving towards the northwest. Eventually, it's going to merge with a frontal boundary that extends across the Atlantic. That front will continue to provide us with some weather here in the capital and in the Bahamas. Then we have a system well to the north, remnants of Odette, which is going to merge with that frontal boundary. Rose, a lot of the showers and thunderstorms displaced from that system will eventually weaken over the next couple of days as well, but we will continue to watch a very strong tropical wave that is southwest of the Cape Verde Islands. All the computer models have the system approaching the Leeward Islands by the end of the week. Beaching and boating forecast for the northwest and central Bahamas tonight through tomorrow. Your winds will be out of the east at 10 knots, seas running 1 to 3 feet, and we have some swells from Peter affecting us up to 6 feet. Southeast Bahamas, northeast to east winds, 50 knots, 2 to 4 foot seas near shore, but up to 6 feet offshore. Here's a look now at your national forecast. A look now at your extended forecast through Sunday. That's a look at our weather. Make it a great night, everybody. Christina?
Thanks, Greg. 6 Bahamian young men living in Oklahoma are making a name for themselves, performing as the Sky Juice Kings. They spoke with our Kyle Joaquin.
What started out as a hobby and little performances for 6 Bahamian young men living in Oklahoma turned out to be something pretty special.
We go up there, the music start playing, and boom, we gone. And that's us for the next 3 hours.
And now the Sky Juice Kings find themselves bouncing between work, studying at university, and on the road playing a mixture of pop, reggae, and of course, Bahamian favorites, especially Ray Conscript.
Yeah, when we go out on stage and we perform, like, when I bring out the saw, people are like, what is he going to do with that? And then, you know, we started making noise and stuff. And, yeah, it's just amazing.
Like, the best way I can describe it is kind of like, you know, when Shawnee Miller wins the goal and she's standing up here on national anthem. You know, that's the kind of feeling I get when I'm on stage, you know, playing the music that I grew up hearing, you know, from my heroes. So like I say, it's just a feeling of honor and pride.
For the Sky Juice Kings, it's a matter of pride, playing their favorite Bahamian music at restaurants, weddings, and all kinds of other events. But they also love dipping into a few reggae jams as well.
Playing Bahamian music, oh my goodness. Trust me, the people, they just love it. They just love it. Like any other music, they will have fun, you know. But when they hear that sweet Bahamian music, when they hear that lick off, that's it.
As for where the name Sky Juice Kings came from?
Sky Juice is definitely super Bahamian, 1. And 2, it brings like the aspect of the fact that we like to party. We love drinking Sky Juice. Like that was something that we used to do very often.
Vocalist Jonathan Kelly says the next few months are looking good for the Bahamian band, and they're looking to take the Bahamas with them.
My next goal right now for us is to try to get in a recording studio, because we have about four original songs that we have done, and we think it would be a great step to, you know, step into that realm and just kind of see where it takes us. So if we could, you know, get something recorded before the year is out and just kind of push that and keep moving forward.
For Our News, I'm Kyle Joaquin.
Thank you for joining us for our news tonight. On behalf of the entire team, I'm Christina Dragovich. We'll see you right back here tomorrow night. Have a beautiful evening, Bahamas.